Welcome everybody to Extreme Off-Road Silly Bills, and today we're dealing with the 1974 Honda Civic RS. Now this has 603 horsepower, 512 pounds-feet of torque from a 2.2 litre turbocharged inline-4 engine. The car itself now weighs 1,498 pounds. Now has off-road tyres, all-wheel drive and off-road suspension, and can do 0 to 60 in 2.677 seconds, 0 to 106.388 seconds, and going to a top speed of 180 miles an hour. So yeah, this is far from the most powerful car that I've had on this series, but I gave it the amount of horsepower that it's got from the engine that it's got for a few reasons. One, it's a really rather lightweight car. You don't want too much power in a car that weighs as little as this. Secondly, it's quite a small car, so again you don't want too much power in a car with such a wheelbase as this. And thirdly, well, this engine is actually from a modern day Honda Civic, so it felt a bit natural really to give it this engine, because this was the first generation Civic, so yeah, it felt rather natural to give it the current generation Civic's engine. And at the end of the day, 603 horsepower in a car that weighs less than 1,500 pounds is hardly a bad amount of power, to be honest. Obviously it doesn't have the most amount of torque, and yeah, like I said, we've had far more powerful engines than this. Even similar sized engines, we've had far more powerful engines and far more powerful cars than this, so yeah. Power isn't the best, but the lack of weight will make up for that in a lot of ways, and at the end of the day it will help this really rather small lightweight car to be a little bit more controllable, because there's nothing worse than a lightweight small car that's huge amounts of horsepower that just cannot handle it, as it would be all over the place, it would oversteer a lot, and yeah, it would also get bounced around more by the bumps and jumps because of how fast you're going over them. Front wheel drive aspects is going to be fine. We're not going to really suffer from any understeer with this, because obviously it's a front wheel drive car to start with, but because now the power's going through the rear as well, we should hopefully not have too much in the way of oversteer, but that is always likely in these kind of cars. So yeah, the power certainly wasn't ever meant to go in those rear wheels. On the whole, it's dealing with everything okay so far. Really easy just to truck it into a corner and let the all-wheel drive keep you in the right direction, but keep yourself planted with the power. It's pretty quick in terms of straight line speed as well. 165 across the finish line there, and a time of 2 minutes 0.013. So yeah, despite not having the most amount of power on this series, that's comfortably got into the top 10, so much so that it's actually supplanted the current leading Japanese car, the Toyota Land Cruiser Arctic Trucks AT37, by more than half a second. And yeah, it's less than 0.2 of a second slower than a Bugatti Divo of all things, and it's also quicker than a comparably kind of similar car in terms of weight, size, and being a hot hatchback than a Peugeot 205 Rally, which is also an underpowered car in, well, I won't say underpowered, but has a limited amount of horsepower in its stock form, certainly under 100 horsepower. So yeah, I'm surprised by how quick this is. It's also far quicker than a Porsche 968 Turbo S, a Ford GT40 Mark 1, Ferrari Portofino, and a Holden VL Commodore. Like I said, it's slightly slower than a Bugatti Divo and an ATS GT, and it's far off a Porsche 911 GT1 Strasser version, but not by all that much, just under 4 seconds, which, considering this has only 603 horsepower and it's a far older car, that is a big surprise. And yeah, it's the current oldest car in the top 10, because it now knocks out the Ford GT40 Mark 1 from 1964 out of the top 10, and yeah, it's also the least powerful car in that top 10 as well, while also being the least powerful car in stock form in the top 10 as well. So yeah, this has broken a lot of records, and yeah, I'm really surprised by how quick it is. But there we go, lack of weight, lack of size, and a modest amount of horsepower to make the most of that lack of weight really did come out on top, really. And yeah, it's nice to see that this car has finally been given the chance to shine after being on the car pass for a long time, and myself neglecting it for such a long time as well. So yeah, massively impressed. Nonetheless, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.